Have you ever wondered what the difference is between a panic attack, an anxiety attack, and panic disorder? These terms often swirl around in conversations, media, and even in healthcare settings. But here's the thing, they're not interchangeable. It's a common misconception, one that we're about to clear up in this video. We're setting out on a journey, a quest for clarity if you will, to demystify these terms and distinguish between them. We'll delve into what each of these terms mean, how they manifest, and how they differ from each other. It's a fascinating exploration into the world of mental health, a world that is often misunderstood and misinterpreted. We'll discuss how panic attacks, anxiety attacks, and panic disorder are unique yet intertwined. Each has its own characteristics, triggers, and methods of management. The complexity of these terms go beyond what meets the eye, and it's time we shed light on them. By the end of this video, you'll have a clear understanding of these three different yet related terms. First, let's dive into what exactly a panic attack is. Picture this. You're going about your day when suddenly you're gripped by an overwhelming sense of fear. Your heart starts pounding like a drum, your breath quickens, and each inhalation feels like a struggle. You're not in any immediate danger, but you feel like you're about to face a life-threatening situation. This, my friends, is a panic attack. Panic attacks are like uninvited guests. They can show up at any time without any warning. They're typically brief, often peaking within 10 minutes, and rarely last more than an hour. But don't be fooled by their short duration. The intensity of a panic attack can make it feel like an eternity. Now, it's worth noting that panic attacks aren't just about an accelerated heart rate and breathing difficulties. There are other symptoms too. You might break into a cold sweat or feel chills, experience trembling or shaking, and have a sensation of choking. Some folks even report feeling detached from reality or themselves during a panic attack, a sensation known as depersonalization. And then there's that notorious feeling of impending doom. It's as if you're on a roller coaster that's about to take a steep plunge, except in this case, the roller coaster is your own mind. So a panic attack is a sudden, intense bout of fear. But how does that differ from an anxiety attack? Now on to anxiety attacks. What are they and how do they differ from panic attacks? Let's delve into this. Anxiety attacks, also known as episodes of anxiety, often come in response to a perceived stressor or threat. Unlike panic attacks, they don't come out of the blue, and they don't necessarily end when the stressor goes away. The symptoms of an anxiety attack can feel intense, but they're usually related to something that's making you anxious, not an unknown fear. The symptoms can vary from person to person, but commonly, individuals may experience restlessness, a sense of impending doom, or excessive worry. Other signs include feeling keyed up or on edge, fatigue, difficulty concentrating, irritability, muscle tension, and sleep disturbances. Anxiety attacks can last for a long time. Sometimes the anxiety is present nearly all the time and can last for days, weeks, or even months. It's not just a fleeting feeling, but a sustained one that can affect your everyday life. It's important to note that anxiety attacks are different from a diagnosed anxiety disorder, which is a medical condition requiring a diagnosis by a mental health professional. So, while both panic and anxiety attacks involve fear and physical symptoms, they differ in duration and triggers. But what about panic disorder? Finally, let's delve into panic disorder. How does it fit into the picture? Panic disorder is a condition that is characterized by recurrent panic attacks. These attacks are not isolated incidents. Instead, they occur repeatedly and unexpectedly. But what sets panic disorder apart is not just the frequency of panic attacks. It's also the persistent worry about future attacks and the fear of the consequences of an attack. This fear can be so intense that it interferes with a person's daily life, sometimes leading them to avoid places or situations where they fear an attack might occur. Imagine living with a constant undercurrent of fear, never knowing when the next attack might strike. That's the reality for people with panic disorder. It's like living on a roller coaster of fear, where the peaks are panic attacks and the troughs are periods of constant worry and anticipation. Panic disorder is a chronic condition, meaning that it's long-lasting and often requires treatment to manage. It's not something that just goes away on its own. It can significantly impact a person's life, affecting their relationships, work, and overall quality of life. In conclusion, panic disorder is more than just experiencing panic attacks. It's a condition that involves recurring panic attacks, coupled with persistent fear and worry about future attacks. Panic disorder is a more serious and chronic condition than a single panic or anxiety attack, but let's summarize to make it clear. So, to recap, let's highlight the key differences between panic attacks, anxiety attacks, and panic disorder. Panic attacks can strike without warning, causing intense fear and physical symptoms like a racing heart and sweating. They're typically brief, but their impact can be profound, leaving a person shaken and wary of future attacks. On the other hand, anxiety attacks are usually a response to a perceived threat or stressful situation. They can last longer than panic attacks, and while they can be incredibly distressing, they often don't reach the same level of intensity. Then we have panic disorder. This is a recurrent condition where a person experiences repeated panic attacks, often coupled with a persistent fear of future attacks. It's more than just occasional panic attacks. It's a continuous cycle of fear and anxiety that can seriously disrupt a person's life. So, while all three involve elements of fear and physical symptoms, it's important to remember they are distinct conditions. Panic attacks are sudden and intense. Anxiety attacks are more prolonged and often tied to specific stressors. And panic disorder is a long-term condition characterized by repeated panic attacks and ongoing fear. Understanding these differences is crucial for recognizing and managing these conditions. Remember, knowledge is power when it comes to our mental health.